Good morning, Year 8. It's Mr. Byrne here, and I'm going to be taking you through your next World War II lesson. Today, what we're going to be looking at is why America got involved in the war. So what I'd like to do before you learn any information, I'd just like you to have a go at this question on the screen, please. So what inspired America to join World War II? If you're unsure, have a look at these pictures because they will help you out. Hopefully you've all had a guess then, so let's see if you came up with the correct answer. So the reason they got involved in World War II was because of something called Pearl Harbour. And Pearl Harbour was an American-owned area that was bombed. So that's going to be what we're looking at today. So I'd like you to copy this title down for me then, please, because that's going to be the title of today's lesson, The Attack on Pearl Harbour. And the learning objective for today, we're going to evaluate the impact of Pearl Harbour on World War II. Okay, so I'll give you a second just to copy that title down. Right then, so for today's lesson, we're going to be looking at the bombing of Pearl Harbour, because obviously it's a massive incident if it brought in America to World War II. But the first thing we need to do here, we need to do a bit of geography. So where is Pearl Harbour geographically on a map? So I'm going to show you a map, and I want you to try and describe where it is. Okay, so it's inside that box. So what can we say about Hawaii and Pearl Harbour based on its geographical location? Okay, I'll give you a second just to write that down. Okay then, looking at it, it's definitely in the North Pacific Ocean. And one thing you'll notice is it's quite close in retrospect to all these different key cities around the globe. Okay, so it's quite strategic in where it is because you can get to loads of different places quite quickly. It's like a central point to get to Tokyo, Sydney, Auckland, or Los Angeles or Santiago. Okay, so it's quite an important area if you do own it. And when we go into a little bit more depth, there is quite a few islands over here near Hawaii. And some of them are American owned. So if America owned them, they're going to have a base to get to all of these different areas, okay? So as I said, it's in the North Pacific Ocean. So this is on Google Maps then. So when we zoom in a little bit, we can actually see this is where Hawaii is, okay? And what I want you to do, I want you to tell me now then, so pause the video, why might the location of Hawaii potentially cause tension? So why are some countries going to be mad at each other? Okay, hopefully you've had a go at that then. And when looking at it, definitely if you're Japan or South Korea, you may be in fear of being attacked. Okay, so that might be something you've wrote down. So definitely it's got strategic value, I would say, owning or being in and around this area. So after the First World War, America had not played a big part. But as one of the most powerful countries, it did have a big part in the Treaty of Versailles and setting up the League of Nations. So America has actually signed the document that ended World War I. But many people in America thought that America shouldn't get involved in another European war. Okay? So when Britain declared war on Germany, America didn't join either side. Not because they didn't like either side, because they've got huge ties to Britain, but what they didn't want to do, they didn't want to be involved in a European war. So they thought if they didn't join either side, they could stay out of World War II. And before the attacks, Japan and America were actually having peace talks because in 1940, Japan had joined with Germany and Italy. So Japan has now got very powerful friends in Nazi Germany and the nationalistic regime of Mussolini over in Italy. And they'd already been involved in a war with China. Okay, so the Japanese are quite scary. So what I'd like you to do now then, I just want you to take a few key notes here because this is going to be really, really important in thinking about the logic of America getting involved. So pause the video here and just add in some notes or rewind if there's anything you missed as I was talking. Okay then. So what we're going to have a look at now, we're going to have a look at this thing called isolationism. And isolationism is really simple when you look at it. It just means to isolate yourself away. So it means to not get involved. So I want you to have a look at this source. This is a view of America's isolationism. And remember, we said that means not getting involved or isolating yourself. And I want you to look at the source. What can you learn about America's view of joining World War II? And I've circled in red the key things you need to talk about. And please try to explain your ideas in detail. So what I'm going to do one for you, and then I want you to do the other. So firstly, you can see an American hat. So the person or the animal sat on this object here is definitely America. It looks quite smug, it looks quite happy, and it looks quite happy where it's sat. So it's not rushing to do anything, it doesn't look in any great danger, and it looks quite healthy at the moment because it's on quite a healthy tree. So America so far looks quite good and it looks quite happy. And so this is saying that the isolationism seems to be working. However, have a look at these four and try and explain to me what these tell you about isolationism in America. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to pause the video here. Okay, then let's talk through and see if you got the right answers then. So first of all, we can see a Nazi swastika sign. So obviously, this is Nazi Germany, this bird. And this bird looks quite dangerous because it's chopping into one of America's allies. It's Britain. It's breaking down this tree. And we can see from this red box and this red box here that it's already managed to chop down the French tree, the Polish tree, Norway, Greece, Holland. So what it's done is this bird has actually decimated all the trees around the one America is on. So this is a very dangerous bird. However, this American bird does not look like it understands how dangerous this bird can be. And we definitely get that impression from the text up here. It says, hey, when finished pecking down the last tree, he'll quite likely be tired. So it's this idea that he's going to work himself out. Or even if he does try and attack us, he's going to be so shattered from attacking all these ones, we'll probably be able to beat him. So this is quite a narrow view, as America is only caring about itself. So it's quite selfish here. All these other trees don't matter, so all these other countries aren't important as long as he doesn't attack us. Okay, so it's a very negative view of isolationism. What I'd like you to do now, I'd like you to pause the video here, and your history teacher should have sent you this link. And this link is a movie scene of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbour. So what I'd like to do, I'd like you to pause the video and answer these two questions. So what did you learn about the American reaction to the attack? And why do you think the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbour? So I'll give you a moment to pause, go away, watch that video and answer these two questions, and then come back. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you saw the devastation of the attack. And the base in Hawaii, in Pearl Harbor, was quite a military base, so it's quite a strategic target. And it does look like, even though America's not involved in the war, they are preparing for war because they've got all these military battles, battleships, and aeroplanes and naval officers ready just in case they get pulled in. And the attack looks quite dangerous because it does a lot of damage. Okay, so the damage done then to the USA, it had 21 ships destroyed, 188 planes destroyed, 159 planes damaged, 2,300 people were killed, and a further 1,400 were wounded. So, what do you think of the American damage there compared to the Japanese damage? So, they only lost 5 small submarines, 29 planes were destroyed, 74 planes were damaged, 64 were killed, and there was only one assailant, so the assassin that came over to attack, only one of them was captured. So what do you think about the Japanese attack of Pearl Harbor? Was it a good and successful attack or unsuccessful? I'll give you a minute to pause the video and answer this question here. Okay then, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to show you a bit more information. Of the 21 US ships, only 3 of them were destroyed. All the rest were repaired and reused during World War II. And these were big, massive dreadnoughts. So back into our World War One module, we learned about dreadnoughts. So these are big battleships that are definitely going to do some damage. And let's just think about this question again. Does this change your mind that America was actually able to fix a lot of the damaged machinery and technology? So I'll just give you a second to see if there's anything you want to add to that question. Okay then, so why? Okay, let's have a look at some information then. The Japanese saw the base at Pearl Harbour as the pinnacle of America's military supremacy in the Pacific Ocean. What that means is the Japanese saw it was really, really important. And they could see it was going to be important if America did get involved in the war. And if a catastrophic blow could be struck against America at Pearl Harbor, then the Japanese thought that America would pull out of the region, leaving it free for the Japanese to continue their expansion into the Far East. So, this idea that if America left because they were so scared of being attacked by the Japanese or so scared of another surprise attack on them, that the Japanese would be able to take over this important region. And remember what we said about the geography of it? It's quite a strategic location if you want to attack key cities. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like to pause the video here and think about these 3 questions. So, what do you think of the Japanese strategy? So, is it a good idea to attack this big naval base? What's the attack going to lead to? Are America going to retreat, or are they going to be really angry at being attacked? They might even join the war. And is this good for Japan and its allies? So I'll give you a second to pause the video. So hopefully you've had a go at those questions now, and you're going to realise that America is really angry, and they are really upset at being attacked. So we're going to look at some American propaganda now, okay? So what we're going to look at is what posters were sent out to the American people based on the attack at Pearl Harbor. So I want you to look at these 2 pieces of propaganda, and I'd like you to tell me, what do you think the aim of the posters were, and do you think these posters would have been effective? So I'll give you a second to analyse and pause the video here and analyse those posters. Okay then, let's pick out a few just to see if there's similar things that you picked out. We've got this idea of it being emotive. I want my daddy back. So that's those men that were lost. So it's the idea of trying to spark up anger that men and fathers were killed. And the idea they've put a woman and a child on there is to make them look vulnerable now. The Japanese have attacked for no reason, and they have taken this family and their fathers away from them. And it wants you to remember. And remember is a key element here because they are playing on the America's emotion of this surprise attack for no reason. And again, in this second one, we have this idea of it being something to remember. Never forget how the Japanese betrayed us and attacked us. And they are physically saying, enlist now, join, get your revenge. So, very emotive language that the American government uses to try and get people to join the war effort now. Because if America's going to join the war, they're going to do it properly with one of the biggest armies in the world. So, the bombing of Pearl Harbor brought America into the war against Japan because Japan has openly attacked America. America aren't going to forget that and they are not going to let it go. So, they are now going to join World War II. After the attack, America declared war on Japan. And President Roosevelt signed the declaration on the 8th of December 1941. On the 11th of December, Hitler and Mussolini declare war on America. This brings America onto Britain's side. And the key thing you need to know is Hitler and Mussolini, they are friends of Japan. They are their allies. So, by declaring war on the Americans then have to declare war on Germany and Italy. So they're no longer just fighting over in the Pacific now, they are going to be fighting within Europe. And after America declared war on Germany and Japan, Germany declared war on America. This brought America into the war in Europe. So it is now a world war. And the attack turned out to be a huge mistake, as they eventually lost the war to America. And the key thing you need to know about Pearl Harbor is that many Americans, in fact, they signed up to the army out of anger. They were so furious about the surprise attack for what they saw as no reason. Pearl Harbor was a catalyst for American men to sign up to the army. And that's the end of today's lesson. So just note down those key elements there. And what I'd like you to do is send in your work to your history teacher. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe.